We are going to start by simplifying the arm into a chain. It might be new, but if you look at how the muscles of the arms interact, it's more like a chain. Because a lot of times when we draw arms, we think of arms like bubbles. And this approach is actually incorrect, because arms are very dynamic things, arms and legs. The muscles twist around everything. So try to think of them as chains. So if you have your deltoid, then your bicep would kind of wrap around it. And then your forearm would also kind of have that chain effect. Something is overlapping something else. So this chain is how I'd like to start thinking about arms, so that we get away from the bubbles. So this muscle here is called the deltoid. It's the muscle that will lift your entire arm. So when you lift your arm up and down, your deltoid is stretching. Your deltoid connects your arm to your torso. So it's really your shoulder. Your shoulder is kind of right behind it, and that deltoid is the first chain of the muscle group. We're gonna draw the second one to be kind of like a flat oval-like shape. If you want to really make that chain very obvious, like you can overlap this shape to the deltoid, but then the forearm goes the opposite direction. So this part really looks like the chain. Now the thing is, this is a muscle, but this muscle here is actually a complex shape because it turns into a wrist. And then the wrist is simplified as a block. So if you want to draw a block, just like a cube, then what you can do is start to bring this shape into that block. So now that becomes a complex form. So keep in mind that the distance between here and here should be the same as here and here. Because remember, when you bend your arm, right, you should be able to touch your shoulder. And then for the hand, you can simplify the hand into an oval. If you wanted the hand to feel more dynamic, you can also turn the circle the other way. So it's more of that chain effect, because our hands can turn almost like 180 degrees and more. So it doesn't really matter, but if you want it to be more dynamic and more chain-like, then do it this way. So this is the deltoid, this is the bicep, as the forearm groups all of these specific muscles together, and then this is the wrist. So once you understand that muscles are more like chains and less like bumps, that's one big step to actually understanding how to change your approach to drawing muscles. So the first step to drawing this guy is to draw in the gesture. You can follow the center line of his spine. It's very, very good. And then from there, I'm going to find the tilt of his shoulders. And then I'm going to find the tilt of his hips. And then now what we can do is we can actually draw those shapes. Because his mouth is open, right? His face is going to be extra long. Now let's draw his rib cage. It doesn't matter how muscular somebody is, their skeletons are just the same as ours. Our bones are going to be the same. So as long as we have our overall proportions correct, then we'll be able to make those exaggerations later. The shoulders is what makes that triangular shape of the torso very obvious. So if you look at his belly button should be below his rib cage. So his belly button should be in between the rib cage and the hips. So if you wanted to draw the hips here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw it as a rectangular prism. And then next, we're going to draw his arms. If you can kind of place where the weights are and just kind of draw in the first dumbbell. The reason why I'm putting these dumbbells first is because I know exactly where his arms have to go. From here, I'm going to connect his arms. So instead of drawing those cylinders, I'm just going to draw the gesture of his arms, starting from the circle or the middle of the circle down to the dumbbell. Now, if you wanted to, draw his legs in, you can. I would just break up the box into an underwear shape and then start to put in the cylinders for the legs. So now let's do the arms. And remember, when you're drawing the cylinders, they're going to be a lot thinner than the actual muscle, because we're going to add those muscles on top. So don't draw the cylinders as if you're drawing muscles, just draw the cylinder as if you were drawing the structure, simplifying those muscles. I'm just going to adjust my head so it's slightly bigger and more proportionate. So have a look at your proportions before moving on to the next step. The other thing I want to draw is that midline, that center line for the rib cage. I noticed that I made mine kind of curved, but if you look at his rib cage, it's like, because of the muscle, it's a lot straighter. Last thing I'm going to do is draw in the middle line, that torso shape. The next step is to add on the muscles. So this is going to be the fun part. Let's just focus on the arms and then we can work our way into the torso. This part is really like the outline, right? We're going to connect all of those muscles. So this muscle is actually the trapezoid. You can see it at the back. Go ahead and exaggerate his muscles if you want to. Give him a lot more mass. Look at this space right now that I have between the arm and the torso. So the muscles that you see are all on top of the rib cage. So the only parts of the rib cage that are not as muscular is like this side here, where you can actually see it. On him, he's got muscles on top. Now his forearm, you can start to see the chain, right? Starts right here. So I would say use a combination of straight lines and curved lines. And once you have that arm in, then you can start to draw in the back muscles. His belly button is actually closer to the left, so I have to adjust. Look at the difference between the muscles on this side of his arm. This side, he's flexing it. So you can see that huge difference in mass, because this muscle here is very compressed. You can see that this is almost one shape. It goes right into that tricep. The tricep, it's at the bottom, it's opposite. When the bicep is compressed, the tricep is expanded. When the tricep is compressed, the bicep is expanded. So these muscles work in tandem, which means that one side is always compressed while the other side is elongated. That's how muscles work. Let's try to capture his chest muscles or his torso muscles. Try not to outline everything, like try to express it, not so much by drawing everything you see, but by drawing the important stuff that you see. So everybody's abs look different. You can see, he's got a six-pack up here. So the six-pack will always exist above the belly button. And then the muscles below the belly button are your lower abs. Anatomy is not as important as structure. It doesn't help if you're still struggling with proportions, or if you don't really have a good handle of structure, then I wouldn't focus as much on the anatomy. I would focus more on just getting your forms and your proportions correct. Notice that his eyes are kind of one dark shape. So I kind of just drew it as one dark shape like that. And then you can go in and draw the eyes inside, and that's a lot easier than trying to draw it all together. Hopefully you have a better understanding of how to draw muscles and the structure. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an upload. If you'd like to support the channel and the creation of free arts education, become a member on Patreon for behind-the-scenes perks and online classes at Wing Canvas. Join our Art Nerd community with the links down below. If you enjoyed this video, here are some other videos you can check out next.